Howdy.
Hi, my name is Arif,
Howdy.
and I want to ask about is there any specific difference from Andy Timmons and Andy Timmons band?
Not really. Some of my music has been released under Andy Timmons' band and some Andy Timmons, but it's largely the same players. The Andy Timmons band records were decidedly more of a band effort, whereas sometimes I'd have records that had several different drummers, or I might play the instruments on. But Resolution and the Andy Timmons band plays Sgt. Pepper. It's the same group, my original band, Mitch Marine on drums, and Mike Dane on bass. And that's my favorite band. So even though my first CD was called Ear Ecstasy, it's largely the Andy Timmons band, but Dan Wojciechowski plays on some songs. But we were very unstable as a group then, just because everybody was doing so many different things. But now we've all done lots of other things. Danger Danger for me. Mitch Marine plays with Dwight Yoakam and Smash Mouth and Goo Goo Dolls and whoever. Not Goo Goo Dolls, who am I thinking of? There was some other group. Sorry, Mitch. Anyway, some other band. And Mike Dane with a lot of different. But now we're really spending more time together and really, I think, growing as a unit. You know. But Mitch is my favorite drummer in the world, and Mike Dane is my favorite bass player. So I'm very fortunate to have these guys to work with, and still believe in what I do. We all come together, have fun. But it's all me playing. Yeah. Thank you for the question.
Welcome. Thank you.
Can I translate?
Yeah, of course. I'll try to speak maybe.
Ya.
Sort of
Jadi pertanyaan Bapak Arif tadi, apa perbedaannya Andy Timmons dia solo sama Andy Timmons band? Cukup singkat jawabannya, tidak ada bedanya. Terima kasih. What's the difference between Andy Timmons and the Andy Timmons band, right?
Well, it's just that the Andy Timmons band really is a band.
Ya, jadi Andy Timmons band adalah benar-benar band. Oke, terima kasih. Simple. Next question. Any questions? Pertanyaan lagi, Mas. Tadi banyak yang angkat tangan. Gak apa-apa kok, ke lecture juga. Your influence.
Influences, yeah. I mean, I have so many. I mean, I grew up in the 70s playing along the Kiss records. You know, I was a big... Ace Frehley was a great, simple blues rock player, you know. So, for a young kid in Indiana growing up playing by ear, he was the perfect guy, you know, for the you know. That great vibrato there. Ace was a big guy for me, yeah.
Jadi dia salah satu influence dari Ace Frehley ya, gitarisnya Kiss. Jadi ya latihannya model-model gitu, ada vibratonya, pokoknya mantap banget.
And one of the next big guys, we were talking about this in the car, was Steve Lukather was a big guy that came along with the band Toto. You know, I heard Breakdown Dead Ahead on this radio one day, which was Boss Skaggs, but it was the Toto band backing them up. And of course the Rosanna solo had that great, Steve had a great rock blues vibe, but there was some jazz influence too.
Ya, jadi dia juga senang sama Steve Lukathernya Toto ya. Jadi di permainan Steve juga ada rock, blues, sedikit-sedikit jazz.
Some of that vibe I was getting into. And Mike Stern was another guy.
Ya, vibe-nya yang kayak tadi ya. Terus Mike Stern juga, dia senang sama Mike Stern juga.
Mike Stern, and some jazzy guys, Larry Carlton, Pat Metheny, Robin Ford. Yeah.
Robin Ford, Pat Metheny, Larry Carlton. Pokoknya banyak nih yang jazz-jazznya juga.
And the important thing about those guys, I don't think I sound like those guys, but it was their sense of note choice. It was their melodic development. What they would choose to play over each chord. They weren't thinking scales. They're thinking chord tones. At least I think they're hearing chord tones. And that's the way I approach music, and that's how I try to do my own thing.
Jadi dia ngambil dari orang-orang itu karena bermain chord tones atau bahasa Indonesia apa ya. Jadi not-notnya itu pilihan, jadi nggak mikir scale lagi, tapi mikirnya lebih ke not-not yang ada di chord. 1, 3, 5 dan sekian dan seterusnya. Jadi approach-nya dia ngelihat ke orang-orang jazz yang tadi ya kayak itunya yang diambil.
And of course, later players like Joe Satriani and Steve Vai, Eric Johnson is a big influence on me. I think the greatest living electric guitar player right now is Jeff Beck.
Yeah.
He just, his Emotion and Commotion record is his best record in my opinion. And he just keeps getting better. He's in his late 60s and he hasn't peaked. I think he could have stopped after Shapes of Things by the Yardbird. That's one of the greatest solos of all time. But then he kept changing and changing. Eric Clapton still sounds great, but he's playing the same thing he was playing in 1967, which is great. But Jeff never rested. Always kept changing. He's less popular, but I think he's the most soulful and most advanced. Yeah.
Jadi ya yang terakhir mungkin Jeff Beck ya, di luar nama-nama kayak Joe Satriani, Steve Vai gitu. Karena sampai sekarang menurut dia umurnya udah 60-an tapi nggak pernah monoton mainnya istilahnya, selalu berkembang, selalu cari yang baru sampai sekarang pun. Mungkin kalau dibandingin sama Eric Clapton lebih terkenal Eric Clapton ya, cuman dia lebih dalam lah istilahnya. Terima kasih. Pertanyaan berikutnya. Mari pertanyaan. Mari.
Don't be shy, Jakarta.
Ya, jangan malu.
Or shut up and play my guitar. Which is okay too.
Gimana? Mumpung ada orangnya di sini, tanya apa aja, bebas gitu, jangan malu. Nanti kalau udah pulang nyeselnya minta ampun, bener.
Enggak, gue udah.
I'm here right now. An hour later, if you go, man, I wish I would have asked him what strings he used.
Yeah,
whatever.
Okay, I have a question. I see you like your cruiser pickup a lot, and why you choose that? Several.
It's one of those things where I love the sound of a traditional single coil.
Yeah.
But it doesn't match very well with the humbucker.
Right.
So the cruiser, it's kind of single coil voiced, but it's a little hotter. A little hotter, so it matches with. But it still retains some of that single coil scooped flavor, but it's just a little bolder.
Yeah.
And so much of my music is kind of based, like when you think about,
Yes.
Woo! That's the cruiser pickup or gone. Or when you think of I thought that's got to be a Strat. I got to play that with a Strat. So I have a 65 Strat and an old Twin. I tried playing it. I came back to this guitar, and that's a Marshall. That clean sound is an old Marshall.
Yes.
So 68 to 79 JMP. That pickup,
The Freya, the answer.
Single coil won't sound quite like that.
Yeah.
Jadi sedikit tentang gitarnya Timmons, tadi pakai cruiser ya, pickup dari dimasukin.
Cruiser.
Jadi yang dia seneng itu humbucker tapi soundnya seperti single coil ya. Peraganya tadi sudah kira-kira seperti itu. Bening suaranya, bening banget.
Thank you.
Ya, pertanyaan berikut. Mari.
Why you change your tuner to Goto?
I changed during the Sgt. Pepper recording.
Yeah?
For years I used the Spurzell locking tuners, which are great tuners. I think they still come on my signature guitar. But several people had recommended that for me to try the Goto tuner, and I was having the recording process for the Sgt. Pepper record. Some songs happen very quickly, and some songs prove to be very difficult to get in tune. Because I'm playing everything, voicing melodies and chords together, sometimes with open strings and highly voiced.
Yeah.
So tuning is an issue. And when I replaced these, the tuning ratio is 16:1 as opposed to 12:1 on these Spurzels. So they're a little tighter and yet much more accuracy for me. And they're lighter, and I seem to like the tone of the guitar better, to be honest. So the Spurzels are still great. I still have the Spurzels on some of my guitars, but I changed it on my main one, and I have been happier. So eventually, on my signature guitar, they will have the Gotos.
Jadi gitar yang baru sekarang pakai apa? Mesin head atau puterannya yang di atas itu pakai Goto sekarang. Jadi dulunya Spetzel ya kalau nggak salah. Nah, sekarang dia ganti Goto.
Change the. Okay, nice.
Ada pertanyaan lagi? Can I ask you?
Of course.
Yeah. Maybe some of us would like to see your routine. I mean, practicing. You wake up in the morning or somewhat.
Best thing, here's what I do. Yes, dear. Here's my favorite new toy. For jazz, there's a book called The Real Book. Yeah. Real Book app. So playlist, AT standards. So I have all these jazz standards I've been playing. Let's find here's one I like to play called Sunny. So I set it up to play. Hold on a second. First I might play some scales. What I might do, just very simply, and whenever I practice, it'll usually be some kind of cycle. Major 7 arpeggios. So really nothing special. Something to limber up my fingers. I'll just go around the cycle with this like that. A lot of times I'll be practicing with no tones of. So I like playing more jazzy stuff. I don't usually play with distortion when I'm practicing. But I'll maybe turn on the metronome and just run some basic scales. And I'll go up in one scale. I'm just playing the modes of A major right now. When I get to the top of the neck, I'll switch to another key. I'll switch to D major. Back down the neck. The thing about, for me, learning the modes wasn't so much about learning scales, was learning one scale all over the neck, so to speak. Like if I'm thinking in the key of a D minor, like we'll play later, it's like in Cry For You. It's D minor to B flat. I know that relates to F major and Aeolian, but I don't think so much vertically as I do horizontally. And learning the modes in each key kind of helped meld the whole guitar neck together. So if I think of a particular key, I immediately see all the notes available. So if it's D minor, you can play the same phrase. I think that's a lot prettier. There's a lot of times that I'll choose to play things horizontally more than vertically, just the way it sounds more vocal.
Jadi itu ya rutinitas latihannya dari Timmons. Jadi pertama dia main mungkin arpeggio, terus pemanasan jari, habis itu main coba untuk bermain scale lebih ke horizontal ya daripada apa itu tadi man? Ya vertikal, atas bawah ya vertikal. Ya.
So then after I do that, I get my band here, and I'll set it up. You can choose what kind of feel. So I'm going to go to Bossa Nova. I'm a Bossa Nova fan. Back ahead. That's what I do in my hotel. Yes, dear. We'll turn off. Technology in this building was under. So I've been really playing a lot of jazz lately, which I played a lot of jazz in my early 20s.
Jadi Andy banyak main jazz di 20 terakhir ya.
And then of course I went through my rock and roll phase with Danger and all the electricity material. So all the playing that I do was very jazz influenced, but I wasn't studying it so much along the way. But now I'm going back and studying, and I'm so excited because I'm practicing a lot now. Whereas I was always playing a lot, but practicing is different. Because now I'm really working on playing really difficult chord changes. And it's helping my rock playing, it's helping everything. Yeah.
Jadi akhir-akhir ini dia belajar ya sedikit-sedikit jazz ya, yang di chord changes, chordnya berubah-berubah.
I think that was all Asian influence, Oriental. Because I love it when I hear it. I just there's so much to learn. That's the beauty of music. I mean, no matter what level you get to, you're a beginner. Always. I think so. It must influence me because whatever you hear, it does influence you. It does influence you, especially when you find things that touch you in some way. That all becomes stored in your library. So when it comes time to make your own music, it's unavoidable. It comes out as something you want to hear. You know. So, but thank you.